join internationally acclaimed overland expert Paul Marsh and award-winning journalist Gregory Simpson as they delve into all things responsible overlanding. From choosing the right vehicle, getting yourself prepared, getting your vehicle prepared, safety tips, and much, much more. Only on Responsible Overlanding.
Tires, do you normally go factory standard or do you put a slightly bigger tread on?
No, look, I think when any factory puts vehicles out, they're not going to spend money on the best tires. And of course they're serving the need. Are those tires good for use on an everyday road? Yeah, of course. I've used some of the tires that come with these trucks on my runaround daily. There's nothing wrong with them. But if you're saying to me, would I use them to go up into Africa? No, I wouldn't.
And size-wise, do you go up in size? Do you put them
No,
up?
I don't. I try and stick to what you can get, because the biggest challenge with tires, when you think here, you can get tires in southern Africa reasonably easy. Once you start going further north, tires become a problem. So, 16 inch is a popular size. So, you're looking and saying, I've got a rim size, if I can keep to 16 inch, I've got a more choice of getting tires. And then of course the width and the height. So 265, 75, 16 is a very common size. And I think that's what you're doing when you're going further north. You're looking to see where, if I needed to, could I get a tire. Now tires are good these days. Tires get made exceptionally well, and I've had people use tires on an entire route around Africa and had maybe 1 or 2 punctures. So more often than not, tires go wrong because people don't understand how to care for them, look after them. Tire pressures are wrong, and that's the worst of it. When you don't look after your tires, and that's the most critical part. If you're looking at safety on your truck, your tires carry so much. They carry the vehicle, they carry the grip on the road. So understanding tires is, in my mind, very, very important, and how to look after them and how to repair them. And a repaired tire is never as good as a tire that's unrepaired. So if you've plugged a tire, better put it as a spare and put the new one on the car. So it's understanding that, and we always say when you're traveling you carry 2 spares. There's no doubt about it, because if you used your spare, you then have a situation, what if I now can't go further because if I need another tire and I've trashed it. So yes, tires, I think like anything, are a responsibility that people need to understand, educate themselves on.
Do you see any drivetrain issues where people go to big tires, 35, 37s, go a little bit over the top?
I mean, look, again, it's not wrong in a sense. What are you using it for? I've seen guys with massive big tires, and then you look at it and you go, well, that's not suitable for someone going overlanding because it puts a lot more strain and wear, but he's not using it for that. So you've got to balance out, and you can't point fingers at people until you understand what are they using it for, what are their needs, and also maybe they don't have the education. Maybe someone told them to put these big tires on. They're driving thick, heavy lugged mud tires in sand, and where they could have done better with an all-terrain tire. So again, it's about understanding what are your needs, what's going to serve you best. There are a few makes of tires we found that really serve well, and like anything, if you look at the guys who hire vehicles out, generally they're trying to get a tire that's going to be good value, last, and the companies will choose a reasonably good tire, and some of them are top-end tire because they want and know that if the tire is not good, they're going to pay the price. So it's always a good telltale when you're looking for products and equipment. The test of time. People have tested a product, then it's going to come back with some good results. It either works or it doesn't work, or it's been improved. And good manufacturers who design products, I mean, the rear bumpers we use, the GoBX bumpers, they're a good bumper. In fact, I think I'd rate it as one of the best bumpers I've seen on the market. They do improve it when it's not 100%. And I like that. I like that about the attitude of a manufacturer to accept feedback and go, this isn't right, how can we fix it? And most are like that. Most are prepared to improve their products, because if they don't, people don't use them.
The attitude of innovation.
Attitude of innovation.
And some of these newer tires, have you had any experience where I see Andrew's put some Wild Peaks on?
I don't know those. Most of my experience I've used was the BF Goodridge all-terrains.
And the Coopers.
Coopers. I've used them in every sort of condition you can think of. Obviously, if you're in snow, we've used dedicated snow tires. Coopers I had studded for some of the ice driving we did in Siberia. So again, it's that a tyre is specific to where you're going to go. So if you're going to go in snow and ice, you should really be using a snow and ice tyre. So it's again, you're trying to understand where are you going, what are you doing, what tyres are available, and countries change. Certain tyres in different countries offer more range. Cooper's massive in Australia, and it's a good tyre. In South Africa, we're blessed. We've got a balance of Coopers and BF Goodridge. Now, some people will buy on price, some people will buy on brand. Will they both work? Yeah, of course they'll both work. It does sometimes become a bit of a preference. There isn't a right and a wrong until you compromise on quality and go, that's really a cheap
We're
tyre.
in the middle of the nowhere. That's when you figure out.
And also, what people don't appreciate also is that, in the earlier days, a lot of remolds were on the market, and that's something you always stay away from. Never ever fit a remolded tyre to your vehicle. I'm not saying that they don't do well. It's the people don't always look after them, and I've seen in the earlier remolds they weren't great, they weren't well done, but I won't take the chance on remolds, and they have their place, but in the overland world it's not my experience, so I don't use them.
All terrains you got on here, and generally, do you favour just for say your average trip through Africa? Would you go in all terrain?
Yeah, I would. I think unless you're going to go to West Africa. So if you came to me and said I need to build a truck and I want to go right up through West Africa, I would be fitting mud terrains, because then your compromise is you're going to be driving on tar road with not the most ideal tyre.
Yeah.
But when you get into the mud, it's going to serve you really well, and you do get some serious mud. Whereas in East Africa, if you were going up and you were unlucky to get caught in the black cotton soil, and then your timing is wrong with rains and that, it's a much smaller part of your trip. So the mud is, you're going to have to compromise. You can't have mud tyres and drive the whole of East Africa and find 80% of your time was on tar on good road, and maybe 10 or 15% was on mud. So West Africa, certainly the mud is horrendous when you drive those roads, and then tyres will serve you better to be mud terrain.
And the muddies are less noisy now than sort of 10, 20 years ago?
Tyres, they are noisy, don't kid yourself, they're much more knobbly. I think what you've also got to find is that the tyres, when the wheel alignment goes out, so when you find any tyre, if I take my hand here and I rub my hand against the tyre like this, now the tyre rotates and I rub it against it, none of these edges are actually grabbing my hand. Okay? These little edges here, these little edges, when they stand up, basically we call it feathering, and that's telling you that your tyres are out of alignment. So maybe the tyres are running out of true, okay, whichever way. And then it'll feather these edges, and then that's when a tyre really becomes a problem and it gets quite noisy. And you need to make sure that you monitor that. For one, the wheel alignment should be set regularly, because it can go out with hitting potholes and that. And secondly, move the tyres from front to back. So front tyres to back, back to front, and then you can smooth these out again, and you get your life of your tyre extended. So there is the debate, do I take my tyres and I run them one set until they're finished and then introduce the spares? People often ask me that question, and it does depend on where you're going to be and where you can get tyres. You might be on a trip where 6 tyres are going to last you the whole trip, but you're going to need to move those into your 4 on the vehicle. So you always want the best tyres on the front. Certainly that gives you, for steerability and safety, is going to be better. And the next best tyres on the rear, and the worst on the spare. And if it's been repaired and patched, definitely on the spare. So tread is important. And also, as I said, the wheel alignment. So watch that. It's an easy check and it's worth doing. These suspensions, these have been lifted. It's got an Allman Emu suspension in it. It's got the standard, the heavy-duty Allman Emu shock absorbers, not the BP51s. I love the BP51s, but to be fair, these are good. Can't knock them. They're really good.
Good brand, Allman Emu.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The Aussies know what they're doing when it comes to overlanding.
Yeah, look, the Aussies have led overlanding for years. I think the Australian environment is a very harsh environment. They've tested and innovated amazing products. You only have to go across there to see. it's an incredible environment for overlanding. They live, eat, sleep and drink it. And I think South Africa has done a lot of it for many, many years because we've grown up with going into the bush. So much the same. We didn't have the same sort of amount of companies like ARB drive a process that we have here. You know, our companies have taken longer to grow in, but we've got a lot of very good companies in South Africa developing product for our industry and testing the product. So if you had to look at the two countries in the world that really drive overlanding, you know, certainly innovation, creativity, and actually using and testing products, I think, you know, Australia is definitely out there. South Africa does a lot of good innovation work and testing, especially with the hire companies. You know, you've got to look at any hire companies, big fleets of 100, 200 vehicles. They're putting product on and testing it all the time. You're going to get a fantastic feedback on what works and what doesn't work.